perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect mess is my perfect mess.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Perfect Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ray Molina, and this is episode 45. I never thought I would be starting my podcast with a quote from Helen Keller. But when I came across that quote, it felt like it just fit the times. It just fit what we were all going through right now. And when I say all of us, I mean all of us. So I wanted to share that with you guys. For those of you watching on YouTube, and if you have been on my Instagram, you actually see me wearing this shirt. This is a shirt that I made. It says "Bad American," and it has a vaccine needle broken in half. If you're watching on video, you can obviously see that. I shared this shirt on my Instagram because I have been seen wearing this shirt, and people have asked me about it. I shared it briefly on my Instagram story, and then I took it down because I wasn't sure if I wanted to sell it, because people have asked me, like, hey, do you have them for sale or whatever? And people asked me on Instagram, they saw it, and they're like, you took it down, where's it at? And so I put it back up, and I shared it, and it caused quite a bit of a stir. My DM started going crazy. And like anything else going on these days, it's a touchy subject. So, you got people over on this side and people over on this side. And, they all have their input. Some people are very supportive. Some people are outraged, whatever. But I shared it. It's up for sale on my website. And I want to talk about real quick where this came from. I have been out in public, and I have personally heard other people tell people they were bad Americans. Most of us have been seeing videos. Most of us have been seeing clips and all kinds of things of people in stores and being in public, and confrontations over masks, confrontations over vaccination passports, and all these different things. And I've heard it in person, and I've also been seeing it online, where it's like, oh, you read the comments and you see the comments of people saying, oh, well, you're just being a bad American. You're not being American. You think you are. You think you're being a patriot, but you're being a bad American because you're not looking out for your fellow American by getting the vaccine. And it really stuck with me because someone said that to me online about a week and a half ago. And I said, you know what, man? I'm just going to put that on the shirt. And I put it on the shirt. So what you're seeing on YouTube, what I'm wearing, is a shirt that I made, and it's on my website at raymolina.com. You can purchase it. I am doing pre-orders right now. So yeah, if you want it, it's there. I've got plenty of other shirts coming, so it is what it is. Whether you like it or not, whether it kind of tugs at your chain and pisses you off, so be it. It is what it is. But what I want to talk about is this. This shirt brought about a conversation. It brought about, it brought feelings out of people. It made people talk. Now, I don't always reply to everybody in my DMs because some of y'all are crazy, all right? Some of you guys just go off. It's crazy how crazy, it's insane how crazy some people can get with somebody that I've never met. They can just go off on a DM and just have all these opinions about what you're doing with your life. Let me be clear, your life, all right? And in this case, we're talking about my life. But it's interesting to see how many people have an opinion about the way you're living your life. And that's what this shirt brought about. My DM just went nuts. So the topic is, how dare you? And it's simple. How dare you take a stand? How dare you have an opinion? How dare you be the true you? How dare you? How dare you say, hey, by the way, I don't agree? Or how dare you say, by the way, I do agree? That's where we're at right now. People are upset and pissed off that people have their own opinions, have their own way of living their lives, have their own way of believing. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not all the same. We don't all we don't all have the same feelings when it comes to this pandemic. We don't have the same religions. We don't have the same bodies. We don't have the same beliefs. We don't have the same families. We don't have the same anything. But here we are in a time where people are offended by you doing you. How dare you? I'm at a point in my life where I'm not afraid, and I haven't been afraid in years when it comes to being who I am. I shared this today about on my Instagram story about I've been sharing my life with the public openly since 1999 when I decided to do music. Um, Obviously, those of you who follow me know I'm not as active in music anymore. I still do it. I don't think I'll ever retire. I just don't do it as often anymore because I've got other things going on. I'm a father now. I'm very, very busy. But I have lived my life openly, which means I've always been open to criticism because when you choose to step into the music arena and put your art out there for people to listen to, for people to buy, for people to watch your videos on YouTube, for people to pay for tickets to come see you live, you are putting yourself out there for people to show you love or people to criticize you. So I'm no stranger to this. It's not anything new to me. We are now in 2021, and since 99, it's been 22 years for me that this is just me. I'm okay with people being um, supportive and people not being supportive of what I do with my life. It's just natural for me. So I'm used to that. I don't think a lot of people that follow me right now, there's a few people that know me really good um, that maybe can't understand because uh, they have a certain way that they feel and they remember me being this person, whether it be in high school or maybe we worked together when I was younger or whatever it is. They remember me a certain way and it makes them feel comfortable to know that the people they know are still those same people. Um, it makes people feel uncomfortable when that person that they remember from 25 years ago is no longer that warm and fuzzy, whatever they thought they were. You know what I mean? Um, and that's unfortunate because, like I've said in previous podcasts, we are supposed to grow. We are supposed to change. That's just the nature of what we do in life. So I'm no, I'm not exempt from that. I welcome change. I look forward to changing. I've changed a lot from episode one of this podcast. If you've been here since episode one and now you're here for episode 45, I know for a fact you have heard changes in my life from that episode to now. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of things that I'm speaking I'm speaking about now that maybe I wasn't speaking about then, but that's change. That's growth. That's what we all go through. So let's touch on this. Let's dig in. You know, who are you? Like I always think about that. Who are you? Who is the real you? And I want I'm not afraid to put the real me out there. Now, like I said, I've been sharing myself publicly since '99. I'm not afraid to put the real me out there and get criticized. But I think anybody outside of what like my circumstances were, like let's say you didn't do music, let's say you didn't perform and put albums out, let's say you weren't a public figure, let's just say you were the typical everyday person who just had a job, um, lived their life, had your social media, and just kind of just cruised through life and lived a normal life. Okay, I think people in general struggle with who they really are. I think for the most part, a lot of people are afraid if they put their real selves out there that they're going to be judged, that they're going to be hated on, that they're going to be ridiculed, and they're going to lose friends, or they're going to lose family, or what? They're just terrified. So they only give you the warm and fuzzy. They only give you a little bit because they're scared. All right. What I want you to try to get out of this episode of this podcast is this. And like I always say, I don't have a degree in any of this. I'm not a professional. I'm not a guru. I'm telling you from my experience and the things that I've dealt with. Okay? I always say that. I'm going to make that clear. The thing about finally living your truth and living who you really are is the walls come down and you no longer have to wonder what would happen with this friendship? What would happen with this relationship? What would happen with these acquaintances if I if they really knew how I felt about this subject, or how I felt about this religion, or how I felt about this these politicians, or what I felt about any topic. Name a topic. Right now, it's the vaccine. Right now, it's COVID. Right now, it's masks. Right now, those are the hot topics. Right? It's the stuff going on with the political parties and them going back and forth and bickering. Those are the hot topics. But what I'm saying is, people are terrified and of speaking out or just being them. It doesn't even have to be any of those topics. People are afraid to just be them. Now, the awesome thing about finally saying, you know what, I'm no longer going to be safe. I'm going to live. I'm going to put myself out there. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is how I feel. This is the way I live my life. I don't like this. I like this. I'm not a fan of this. I'm a fan of that. These are the things I'm willing to stand up for. These are the things I'm not willing to stand for. When you do that, something amazing happens. Something comes off, like the weight comes off your back. And you feel like, okay, I did it. I spoke up. I'm officially showing and sharing who I am. Now, what happens when you do that is you're going to find out who's rocking with you and who's not rocking with you. Now, I want to prepare you for something. Excuse me. I want to prepare you for something. You're going to lose people. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pull no punches. You are going to lose people. They're going to walk away from you. They may not even say anything. They may just not mess with you anymore. It's part of being who you really are. You want to be true to yourself. You want to live who you really are. That's what happens. You are going to lose people. Some people may actually tell you why they don't mess with you no more. And you're going to have to be okay with that. Now, I would tell you from experience, don't get into a debate. Don't get into an argument. If someone doesn't want to be in your life no more because you're finally being who you are, let them walk. If you love them, if you care about them, if that's someone that you know you're going to miss, tell them you love them. Tell them it's unfortunate, but you love them and you're here if anything changes. You owe it to yourself to be you, to be who you really are. You owe it to yourself because you're not living if you're not living in your truth. You're not, because you're wasting time trying to please everybody. You're playing it safe. You're not being who you really are. You can't make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to like you. And here's a news flash. Even when you play it safe, people still don't like you. They don't. So if they're not going to like you, if they're going to talk about you, if they're going to do all these things, why not have them not like you and talk about you because of your being who you really are? That way, when it comes up, you can say, that's fine. Yeah, I really am like that. Maybe we're just not meant to be friends. Maybe we're just not meant to be acquaintances. It is what it is. On the flip side, you are going to attract the people that really need to be in your corner, in your circle, whatever you want to call it. You will attract, what do they say? You will attract your tribe. That's what happens. People who understand what you're going through, understand your feelings on certain topics, they're going to come your way. You will make new friends. You will have a new circle. You will have new connections because you're being you. Someone's going to see that and say, I like that. Maybe I don't agree with everything that that person is and what they're talking about, but I like that they're authentic. I can do that. That's me. I have a lot of people that I consider friends and acquaintances that I don't agree with on everything. But we don't beat ourselves over the head when we see each other. We don't kill each other in DMs going back and forth or text messages arguing. We just don't. We may joke with each other and laugh. I get DMs all the time with good friends of mine cracking jokes about an opinion I had. And then I'll fire back on something that they have an opinion on, and we'll laugh and be like, dude, how's the family? How you guys doing? Doing good, catching up, doing all right. Jobs kind of sucks right now, blah blah blah. Catching up. But we don't go any further than that. Because why? We respect each other. We all have our views. And it is what it is. That's what's missing right now. But I want to tell you guys, that's what happens. You decide to be who you are, and those two things happen. It may even be family. I've had it happen with family as well. And unfortunately, it's just part of what goes on. And you have to be okay with it. This shirt, man, I have DMs from people saying, instead of saying bad American, it should say bad father. And it should say whatever it is, but that was the main one that made me laugh. I think you guys, if you follow me, you guys can tell I'm not a bad father. I share everything that I do with my children. I'm very candid with how I raise my kids and the things that I'm teaching them. I don't take offense to any stuff like that. I thought that was pretty funny. But I've got those, and then I've got people who call themselves patriots who say, I love the fact that you're taking a stand. I love the fact that you're not afraid to show your following where you stand on this subject. And I've had those talks, with these people, and I said, listen, I am not anti-vaccination. Okay, I don't know why people continuously push the narrative of anybody who doesn't want to do the vaccination as being an anti-vaxxer. I am anti-government telling you what to do and mandating and forcing things down your throat. In this case, forcing a damn needle in your body. I'm not okay with that. That's what I'm anti. This happens to be what they're pushing, so that's what I'm standing against. This really came up because um, because I recently bought tickets to go to a Stanford football game. They were playing UCLA, and I was not notified that this venue had any vaccination requirements and any COVID requirements. And the reason being is the rules in the Bay Area, the way they're moving, and like most places, they're changing all the time. Um, is indoor venues you're supposed to have vaccination, but outdoor venues we were told don't have any requirements. Why? Because there's air flowing from outside. We're outdoors, not necessary. Um, that wasn't the case. So I bought 3 tickets, take me and my sons to a football game, and was told I cannot enter the stadium because I don't have a vaccine. My 12-year-old was going to need a vaccine. My youngest was fine, but we were not able to enter because we don't have vaccine. It upset me. I asked about the test, and they told me you need to have it a negative test 72 hours prior to the game. I said, well, that's not gonna happen because the game is now. So we couldn't get into the game because we didn't have a negative COVID test within 72 hours, and we didn't have a vaccination proof. So I literally said, so my money's not good. We're here. It's an outdoors venue, and my money's not good. And that was that. So I wasn't happy about that because, like I said, the rules are, and they're constantly changing, and obviously this one changed on us. Outdoor venues, no vaccination required, no COVID tests. Indoor venues like Chase Center, SAP Center here in San Jose, they're requiring that. I understood that. I'm okay with not going to events at these venues because I don't plan on doing the vaccination. So it's unfortunate that things changed. I was, pretty upset about it. I shared it. Obviously, people have an opinion. People are not, you got smart asses who say a lot of funny, slick shit behind screen names on Instagram and social media. Um, and then you got people that are like, yeah, man, I got turned away too. I'm not supporting Stanford. I'm not doing any of that. So you got everybody that has these really strong opinions. All right. I was just upset that I wasted money. Um, the cool thing, the cool thing is my kid's mom is vaccinated. All right. So uh, she was like, I didn't have plans today. If you want, I can go with them. I haven't been to a college football game in years. And she goes, I'll take them if you don't mind. You want to send me the tickets? And I said, sure. I'm not happy about this, but yeah, you guys go have a good time. They, it's so goofy how this stuff all works. She got there and she goes, what's crazy is they're so nonchalant about everything. She goes, we got there. I just told him Jordan was 11, um, so he didn't need the vaccination. Jaden is obviously younger, and because I have vaccination, she goes, they didn't even check the barcode. They didn't check. They just gave us wristbands. She's like, so anybody, the kids didn't even need the wristband. She's like, do the kids need a wristband to show that they're vaccinated, or they didn't need a vaccination? They're like, nah, they don't need them, but if they want them, here's 2. They handed her 2. Didn't put them on the kids. They handed it to them. Handed it to her. So she could have literally just, if I was there, she could have literally just walked to the car and put one on me, and I could have just walked in. Like, this is how goofy all this stuff is right now. Now, I'm not being an asshole, and making fun of the situation, but I'm just saying there is no rhyme or reason as to what the hell is going on with this stuff. It's just not. And that's what's getting everybody super upset about this and arguing with each other is because there's no method to the madness of what's going on. Some people are saying this, these are the rules. Other people are saying these are the rules, and everywhere you go, there's different rules, um, and it's just driving everybody nuts. Uh, so that was my recent experience with dealing with this whole thing out here in California, man, and trying to get into this football game. You know, I had a few friends saying, I'm sure you could, because I blasted them online about the vaccination. And I had a few friends that were like, well, I'm sure they would have taken uh, a negative COVID test. And I'm like, no, you're right. But they wanted it 72 hours before the game. Obviously, it's a little too late. They didn't pass on this information. It wasn't supposed to be like that for an outdoor venue. So you get what I'm saying? And, you know, little tit for tat here and there online. And of course, they're like, yeah, no, that makes sense. That sucks, whatever. Um, but anyways, that whole situation, you know, was the first time me dealing with that with an event, and it just kind of pissed me off. Anyways, that got me to share the photo of the shirt, and people asked, so I put it up for sale on my website. Thank you to everybody who's been purchasing and pre-ordering the shirt. Um, it means a lot to me. This is a prototype. This is the one that I was wearing when people were asking me. The official Bad American T-shirt will have the American flag on the shoulder right here, and then have this right here. And they're actually black T-shirts with white print. So let's keep it moving. Getting back on topic about being the real you, and how dare you take a chance? How dare you put yourself out there and be who you really are? I remember, my journey as to being, an entrepreneur who what I am right now, having a small business. Um, and I remember quite a few people telling me, that I should feel blessed to have taken the leap of faith and taken a chance on myself to do what I do. And my comeback was always, well, man, you make a lot more money than me. You got a home, you got this. And oftentimes, what I'm told is, yeah, but you know what? You actually had the audacity to jump off a cliff without a net and take a chance. And I've been afraid my whole life to do that. So I chose to get a job. I'm not ashamed of that because I provide for my family. I make a good living. We have a home. We have this, da 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 da. But the one thing I never did was take a chance on myself. I never jumped out and tried to start the business that I always wanted to do, something that I really love. Or I never tried to do that one thing that that really brought me happiness. I just jumped into life, and this is what I do. And I thought about that because people even told me that about music. I have a few friends that have always wanted to do music. They sing, they rap, whatever it is. They play instruments, and they never took the leap of faith. They never had the courage to jump out because they always heard musicians, artists don't make a lot of money. And more often than not, you just end up broke. So they never took a chance. They had parents who always warned them, don't do that, you're not going to make a lot of money, it's not a good lifestyle. So they listened and they didn't take that chance. Or they waited for someone that they were friends with to come out and do it with them. So they never took that chance. And this literally digs into what I mean by how dare you? How dare you take a chance? It is a dare. A lot of people that down people who are small business owners, entrepreneurs, or people who are do a podcast, or people who put themselves out there on social media, or people who do music, or people who act and do movies and do all these things. It is a dare that most people won't take because they are terrified. Um, it just, it's something that for me, I didn't want to be that old person saying, I wish I chased my dream. I wish that I took that chance. I wish that I did music. I wish that I spoke out. I wish that I told people how I really felt. I do that every day. So when I hear and I feel this attitude from people who are living in fear, who are living safe, who are living comfortable because they're afraid to be uncomfortable, I do take it as them saying, how dare I? It takes so much to put yourself out there. It took doing this podcast, it took everything in my being to have the guts to really speak. I've had people tell me, I don't know how you're able to carry a podcast by yourself without any guests. Like, you literally sit in a room, look at a camera, and record yourself into a camera and on your software and put out audio so people in the world can hear it. I don't know how you do that without having someone there to bounce ideas off and talk to. And I simply said, this was not easy for me because I knew if I did it this way, it was going to be about me. It was going to be about my life. It was going to be about the things that I believe in, the things that I'm going through, the things that make me who I am. And I was going to have good days. I was going to have bad days. I was going to have in between days. And the scariest part was I was going to share them all here. This podcast is like a journal to my life. It really is who I am. And I understand when I run into people that listen to this podcast and they tell me that they feel like they know me and have known me for a long time. And to be honest with you, you really do. You may not know me in the physical form because we don't hang out, we've never been, but I've shared so much of my life on this podcast. You really do. You do know who I am. You know why? Because I dared to give it to you. I dared to put myself out there and take a chance on people liking me and people not liking me. You get it? It's crazy because when that's the entrepreneur side. That's me doing music, and I've always had people that either love my music or hate my music. That's art. It is what it is. Some people are gonna tell you, man, your music is trash, or some people are gonna say, man, your music changed my life. There is no. It is what it is, man. Anybody who's listening and does music, you know what I'm talking about. But it's crazy how all of these things kind of connect with each other, um, and on this whole topic. Because I remember when I gave myself to Jesus Christ. I remember when I decided to get baptized with my two sons. They came for me. And what I mean by that is uh, people came for me and started discussing my past. They started discussing my past sins. They started discussing my recent mishaps. They started pointing out everything. I heard it from people, from third parties. People would tell me, hey, so and so saw the photos of you getting baptized or you praying and all this stuff. And they were saying this about you and saying that. Like, they came for me. Why? Because I shared being who I really was. Was I that guy my entire life? Nope. I was a piece of shit. Do you know how many people can't say that? I was a piece of shit. But I gave myself to Jesus Christ. It didn't mean I became a perfect person. What it meant was I am surrendering and acknowledging that He died for my sin, and that I am now following Him and trying to live a better life. Keyword, trying. I struggle with that every day. But there are people who see that, and the first thing they want to do is remind people who you were. They want to remind people of that one thing you did. They want to remind people of what you did recently, right before you got saved or baptized. And they want to remind people that they don't think you're going to change. How dare you? How dare you go get baptized and try to change your life? How dare you share that with the public when you know what your past is? Another key word, past. Your past doesn't define you. I remember that being a very hard thing for me because I was like, yo, here I am trying to change my life, and people are talking about who I was, trying to remind people of who I was back then. I'm not that person anymore. And I'm trying not to be that person anymore. I'm trying to get better. But there are people who don't like that you are sharing these things and being who you really are. They don't want to see it. They don't care to see it. One thing that I understand about this podcast is this, because it happens to everybody. If this podcast ever, for whatever reason, or not even necessarily this podcast, but anything that I'm doing right now, if anything blows up, if this podcast becomes something that's larger than life, something that I never thought would grow to what it would be, they're going to come for me again. Okay? That's another opportunity for someone to say, I know this guy. I went to high school with him. I went to middle school with him. I used to work with him. Women to say, oh, I used to date him. Guys to say, oh, I used to party with him. He was like this. He was like that. It's going to happen. You know why? Because you put yourself out there. You dared to put yourself out there. And if your audience grows, whether it be on social media, a podcast, or you just become a very popular person, they come for you. You see it all the time. That is the nature of the beast. So when you finally decide to be who you really are and just live your life candidly and say, this is who I am, this is what I stand on, just be prepared for that. It's coming. Nobody is exempt from that. None of us are. Like I told you, it may be family, it may be friends, it'll be strangers for sure, it'll be acquaintances, it'll be people that you didn't even realize would do something like that. It is what it is. But that shouldn't scare you from being who you really are. This is your life. This is you. You have to wake up every day and face yourself. You have to lay down at night, put your head on that pillow, and be okay with who you are. One of the greatest feelings I have is that every day I walk out of my door to go to work or to go take my kids to school, is I know that I am being who I really am. And that if anybody brings up my past or anybody brings up who I used to be, I can openly say, yeah, that was me. That's who I was, and whatever. Yeah, that was me. It's not me now, because I'm living who I am. I'm being honest about who I am. I'm okay with that. You know, speaking on social, and I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick, but speaking on social media, you know, I talked about this earlier on my IG story and how people are really comfy with the bubbly stuff. You know, they love the fact that when I share my story about my kids and me hiking or working out or doing these things, um, they love that. They like the safe stuff, right? I've had people tell me in the past, why don't you just continue to share the stories with your kids and the photos and the coaching? Why do you got to be speaking about all this stuff? I liked your Instagram when you just did that. What they're really telling me is, shh, shut up. Quit talking about the things that you are passionate about. Quit telling us your opinion on things. How dare you open your mouth and speak up and have an opinion? That's what I hear. And I'm not with it. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, so be it. I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. This is my life. Yes, I have the warm, fuzzy, bubbly part of my life, but I also have the part of my life where I stand up. I let people know how I feel about certain situations. It is who I am. I do not apologize for that. It's unfortunate that people feel like they could even. My thing is, how dare you feel comfortable enough to message me and tell me that my social media and my life was better when I was just sharing warm and fuzzy, bubbly stuff. And that when I started sharing the stuff that I was passionate about, it offended you. It made you feel uncomfortable. How dare you feel comfortable to message me and tell me that? This is my life. It's as simple as an unsubscribe, unfollow, whatever. Just hit the button. Just hit the button. There's a lot of people that I like that don't have the same opinion on certain things that I am passionate about. I don't follow them. And if I do want to see how they're doing, I'll go and check. Now, if their profile's private, oh well, can't do that then. But I don't stick around. I don't stick around and just get upset because it's not my life, it's their life. You know what I mean? This this shirt sparked so much conversation that one of the one of the interesting things was I had people telling me, um, I love the fact of how you're raising your boys. You know, you're raising them to be proud Americans. You're raising them to be able to express their opinions. You're raising them to be strong young men. And I would like to do that with my own kids. I've had people tell me I don't even have kids, but the the way you share things about your kids and how you talk about them on the podcast and how you stand up for things, I look forward to becoming a father because I want to do all those things. And then you got the flip side of people saying, I can't believe you're raising your boys to be this way. I can't believe you're raising your boys to think it's funny to have a shirt that says "Bad American," or to think it's a joke to do this. How dare you take these kids out hiking when we're in a I mean, I've heard it all. How dare you take your kids hiking without a mask when we're in a pandemic? How dare you go to a high school and run a mile with your kids without a mask when we're in a pandemic? I mean, everything. So I've heard both sides. Um, and it's just fascinating to see how many people have an opinion about how we live our lives. Not even their lives, our lives, my own life. I'm going to close it out with this. You guys know, I Uber and Lyft drive from time to time. You know, like I always say, in the Bay Area, there's no extra money in the Bay Area. You got to keep the money coming in. So I do a lot of different things aside from my business. And I picked up this couple, and from this little fancy area, and this guy opens the door for this woman, gets her in. First of all, that hasn't happened in a while, but I thought he was going to scoot her over and slide in. He opens the door, she gets in. He shuts the door. He walks around the back of my car, and then he gets in. And I said, you know, I gotta tell you, that may be the first time in about 3 years that I've seen someone do that, see a gentleman do that for a woman. And they both go, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah." Usually they just go into their doors by themselves, or I was fully prepared to watch you open the door, let her in, and then ask her to scoot over so you could slide in. And you did something that kind of made me feel good because I'm that type of guy. My grandfather raised me that way. And I said, walking on the sidewalk and making sure the woman has the inside and you're on the outside, pulling chairs out, and I go, "We don't see that." And he goes, he goes, "That's crazy, man." He goes, "I was just talking about that." He goes, "Your grandfather raised you right." And mind you, this wasn't an old man. This guy was probably my age. And he goes, I don't understand why we don't see that anymore. I don't understand, you know, what the deal is, who raised these kids and who raised these men. And I said, well, um, I don't think people are taking the time to teach them the little things like that. And I know it sounds like I'm getting off on a tangent from the topic, but here's the thing. He says, you're you're being raised by someone who had values, and a lot of people don't have values nowadays. They just don't. He goes, it shouldn't be that way. That you shouldn't see. Uh, you shouldn't have to tell us that 3 years ago was probably the last time you seen that happen. I said, I know. And he goes, why? He goes, what's your opinion? Why don't you think people do that anymore? Why do you think men don't do that no more? I said, you really want my opinion? He said, yeah, man, I love this conversation. I don't know if it was his wife or girlfriend. She goes, I would love to hear your opinion. I said, because that's, from what I have been told, that's considered toxic masculinity now. You're pushing your manliness onto a woman when you open a door and hold a door for them. It's insinuating that she can't grab the door and hold the door herself. It's insinuating that she needs your help because you're a man. It's insinuating that she can't pull her own chair out because she needs a man to do that. That's where we've gone. And you want to know, before he could say anything, the woman said, you're 100% correct. And that's women's fault. That's what she said. She's like, because I've heard it too. And she's like, I like when my man does these things. I said, yeah, but that's where we're at now. Men are afraid to have the audacity to hold the door open for a woman. They're afraid to open the door for somebody, let them in the car, and then come around. They're afraid to say, hey, move over to the inside while we're walking, I'm here. Because they don't want to offend anybody. They don't want to offend that woman. Again, afraid to be who they really are. Somewhere it's got to change. It just has to. Somewhere down the line, we're going to need to step out and say, I'm not afraid to do any of that no more. All right? I'm not. I'm not afraid to be who I am. I'm not afraid to let people know where I stand on these issues. And I'm not afraid to go back to in this case, my old values, the values that I was raised, and say, this is me. It's not toxic. It's me being a gentleman. I'm not trying to offend you. In fact, I'm just trying to make you feel comfortable and protect. That's it. I don't know what it's going to take, but I'll tell you right now, if you're listening to this and you decide to say, I'm no longer going to be quiet and um, just be quiet so people are comfortable, and I'm going to speak out and I'm going to let people know how I feel about certain things. I'm going to be the person that I really am. I'm going to live my truth. If you decide to do that, listen to this podcast, listen to everything that I said, expect those things, expect the kickback, expect people to not want to be around you, but also expect people to come around you and say, wow, I really admire that about you. I like that you're speaking out. I like that you have an opinion. You're going to hear that from people that agree with you and people who don't agree with you. But you know what you're going to attract? You're going to attract people who are also living their lives and are having the audacity to dare to be who they really are. All right? I do that every day. Those of you listening, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that's true. If you follow me on TikTok, you know that's true. I live my truth every day. Some people love it, some people hate it. But it is what it is. It's who I am. All right? Some people call me a bad American. That is all I have, man. I hope you guys got something out of this. I tried not to ramble too long, but here I go again. I'm pushing up on an hour. But that is what I had. I wanted to touch on that and share. And again, share more of my life with you guys. And I hope you, like I said, I hope you get something out of it. If you like, you can, follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is It's Ray Molina. The podcast Instagram is The Perfect Mess Pod. You can also follow me on TikTok. The TikTok is literally dedicated to The Perfect Mess Podcast, but it's also under my name. It's Ray Molina. So you can find me there. I'm on Facebook as well, and YouTube. Look up The Perfect Mess Pod, and my website is raymolina.com. You like the shirt that I'm wearing, Bad American? It's up for sale. You like this Beast or Famine hat? It's also up for sale. There's a lot of other stuff. I got other t-shirts dropping. So check it out, raymolina.com. My books that I read are there. You can listen to the podcast, all kinds of stuff. Just go to my website. And and if you can, join the newsletter. I try to update as much as possible on sales, and when a new podcast drop, you'll get all that information there, all right? I love you guys. Again, this is episode 45 and of the Perfect Mess Podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it, all right? You guys take care. And like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it's a mess, but for me, it is the perfect mess. I love you. God bless.
Perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect